Yo everyone, this is Julie and today we're back with more Mage Wars. We are going to look at my game in the Mod Wars tournament against Beastmaster, where I'm playing the Warlock in the top left and he's playing the Beastmaster in the bottom right. For special reasons, namely that this is one of my better decks, I will not show the deck list here. But I will of course explain what I'm doing, what I try to do, and why I chose the cards that I chose for each round. The book I'm playing here is a rather standard CurseLock, I would say, so I'm not playing too much creatures, I'm actually only playing one that comes out in special situations. The opener here is the almighty classic Mana Crystal Forge in turn 1. This gives me a lot of options and flexibility to start from, but it has to be considered as a rather defensive opening. But solo mages with curses goes very well alongside with a forge. So before the match I expected Beastmaster to play an Aegis Mage, so prepared a little bit for that, namely in one card that should be very strong, and I will play it here in this match too, and it will have a major impact on the game. So on turn 2 I will get some armor, which is always nice against the probably aggressive Beastmaster because he only has Philella and Ring of Beasts. The Ring of Beasts is telling me that he plans on using or casting creatures, and usually you will want to cast more than 2 creatures with the Ring of Beasts, because only after the 3rd creature you will get a positive mana from the ring itself, because you save 1 mana for each beast you cast, so you need to cast 3 for the ring to actually generate mana. And I am going with a Hawkeye here and a mana siphon, so my plan is to control the game by keeping my opponent's mana rather low, and later on I will want to cast some ranged attack spells. The bird is slightly troublesome for me because birds are not easily controllable by curses. Many creatures you can cast Agony on, you can cast Curse of Weakness on, you could cast Chains of Agony or Enfeeble most of the times. Nothing is really too strong or too efficient against the Falcon pets. So if you're going against the Warlock yourself, you definitely should consider running Falcons, because they are very strong, and I will have some trouble in this game dealing with the Falcon. So here I will start getting out my Ring of Curses. I will get the Magebane running. I want to have some steadily ticking damage on my opponent while I want to distract everything else he has. The Magebane is very good for that because it's rather cheap with 5, arguably 4 mana with the Ring of Curses, 4 mana with the Ring of Curses, and if that would ever get removed I plan to recast it just to have some steady 2 damage ticking on the opponent mage while I gear up and try to control the creatures. The first attack of the game is the Pet Falcon with Lion Savagery on it. You can see it here in the chat. Rolling 6 dice, piercing 1 versus a Mana Crystal with a 40% kill chance, which he gets. And I will play Idol of Pestilence to get some 3 damage out at minimum, but he played 2 more Witch Hounds here, so I will get 5 damage currently each turn from the idol. Usually I would say very often the idol is a decent investment when you can hit 2 or 3 creatures with it, and everything beyond that is just a bonus. So right here we see my opponent at 8 channel while I am at 10. He has 4 creatures out, I have 0. This is also the plan of the book. He has something defensive on his mage. He also has the mage bane. Got him directly to 3 damage, 2 mage bane ticks this turn and the idol. And my mage having some armor and the ring of curses and a buff. So right here, this is where the tricky turns for me begin. Here we could have some focusing on my mage. If the falcon hits my mage, Phililla enchants the Beastmaster. Let's assume the worst case, this would be a bear strength. Enchants the Beastmaster with another melee enchantment. He pushes me 1 zone to the right and slams everything he has into my mage. That is getting me probably up to 14, 15, 16-ish damage with the only one armor I got right here. So going defensive is definitely an option. I don't do it here because also the falcon could have hit me this turn, or last turn rather, but the falcon went up to hit the crystal, so I get the feeling that he wants to even out our mana advantages right here. So I kind of estimated him to go for the mana siphon here, which he actually does. His mage stuff that he casted to hit the mana siphon with the ethereal attack rolls max damage basically, but since in this Mod Wars tournament the ethereal trait was changed, so only 1 steel damage, but you are allowed to reroll non-ones, so 2s and blanks. This attack actually dealt 0 damage right here to mana siphon. So it was a max roll, did 0 damage. Kind of funny, but so this ethereal trait change is basically the only reason for me to having included the mana siphon, because it gets so hard to kill, and I have already gotten 2 uses out of it. If I get a 3rd use out of it, well, it's not super worth it, but it also acts as a buffer for the early turns, because I need some time to get my mage powered up and running. So I figured this would be probably a good investment. And we see him hitting the mana siphon here full force, dealing with 5 dice ethereal, 7 dice from the falcon, and 2 plus 3 dice from the witchwood hounds, dealing 6 damage, which is average actually against this incorporeal object, at least with the rules change for the Mod Wars tournament. I get another curse on him, which is a rust, but it's not revealed yet. And Jabos gets here another enchantment on the Witchwood Hound, which will get revealed this upkeep. It is a healing madrigal. So he tries to counteract the idol, since he has 4 creatures standing in the same zone. He gets big value out of that. He basically generates 8 heal this round. Still, personally, I do think that, especially since he has only 8 channel right now, the 7 mana he spends for a healing madrigal is almost the mana for 1 whole round. My personal opinion is that this madrigal was maybe 1 or 2 rounds too early. Maybe another creature would have been better here to generate more immediate power and dice on the board. This is also a little bit hindsight talk, of course, but also here in the game, while it's arguably not looking too well for me, I have some decent dice right before my mage here, and I have only 1 armor, 2 curses, 2.5 if you count the Eye of Baal. I feel fairly confident right here. pretty much everything went according to plan, except the one hit on the crystal right here in turn 3. I think it was. Yes, it was turn 3. So the plan for this round is to get more massive damage ticks going with the Moloch's Torment. I plan on getting some Theft of Lives out to use my Ring of Curses and to steal some healing he generates with the Healing Madrigal. And the secret power card for this book here is the Mordok's Obelisk. Because right now here my opponent has 4 creatures out, arguably should have cast another one last turn with his mage going melee and quick casting, like using the quick summoning ability from the Beastmaster and summoning another level 1 creature. Maybe he also does it here, he has 10 mana. So if you would have dropped another creature here, that would be perfect for me. So then he would have 5 creatures and I dropped the Mordok's Obelisk, making that the 2-channel he generates himself for this round gets directly replaced with channel -5 from the Mordok's Obelisk. Right now it's only 4 because he only has 4 creatures, and since his Pet Falcon moved down to attack my Idol of Pestilence, I tried to double move up here and put the Mordok's Obelisk as far away as from his threats as possible for me. So right here you can see he planned down to 2 mana, and I am dropping the Obelisk, which makes him lose 5 mana in the next turn, so he will start with only 7, not 12. So arguably he has only 5 channel right now, which gives me a major advantage here, I think. So for the next turn it's Jabez who has a lot of decisions. He could go for the idol, try to protect his guys. He could go to the for the forge to hinder my long-term defense plan. He could try to just erase me, which is possible. Like he has 4, 6, 9, 12 dice of damage versus 1 armor, so it gets me to around 10 damage. It's possible, but you don't really want to raise the Arraxian Crown Warlock because he starts with the highest life of all mages and he has access to so much regeneration. So raising the Arraxian Crown is almost always an uphill battle. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's an uphill battle because generally the Arraxian Crown has some very good tools for that case, for that scenario. And now what is my plan? What am I going to do? The idol also attacks my mage because I'm not a necromancer. I don't have the broken poison immunity. I am just a normal human after all. I will start regenerating with the regrowth belt. I don't need to do it right away. I can get to around 2, 3 or 4 damage and then get the regrowth belt out to regenerate down to 0 in 2, 3 or 4 turns. Because the belt heals for 1 more than the idol deals damage. So yeah, you don't need to get the regrowth belt out immediately after you play the idol. So here we see my Chains of Agony on the bird getting big value. So if you would have moved out and charged in again, he takes 2 damage for that, trades it versus 2 dice. In that case, Jabez decided to not use the 2 dice, to not take the 2 damage for the 2 dice, which helps my Isle of Pestilence surviving. Because I thought about him double moving the Witchwood Hound down to the bird zones, which saves the birds and helps all 4 creatures possibly to take down the idol and then the forge. I want to interfere with that plan a little, so after the Falcon attacked, I move back here into this zone, so the Witchwood Hounds are hindered and cannot double move 2 spaces. Here I now finally get the Theft of Life out for some regenerate 3, and also get 1 more damage on the opponent, basically. He leaves the regeneration zone though, so the Theft of Life will only get revealed later on, while the Witchwind Hounds hit me for some minor damage. So one hits me for 1 damage and the other one not too much. Now, with me having curses on him, his mana being drained, and him having not too many defensive equipments out, I start with a Fire Stream here, because he's low on defense, and usually you want to convert, or you try to convert roughly 1 mana into 1 damage, not dice of damage, but damage directly. And with damage spells, the most effective way to do that obviously is when your opponent is at low armor, so generally speaking, if you manage to get your opponent on low armor, your damage spells are in most cases more effective than his healing countermeasures. And also, very generally spoken, with your opponent being between 0 and 2 armor, your attack spells get by far the most value, and it's almost always worth to hit him. Like, there are exceptions, maybe there are a lot of exceptions, and it also depends on your book and what you need to achieve. Sometimes there are key conjurations or creatures which you need to remove first, but with this book being a tank solo mage book, where the plan is to basically ignore the creatures, curse the creatures, and hinder the creatures with whatever they plan on doing, and go for the mage, this is exactly what I do. When I have the opponent at 0 armor, I will try to attack him. So this is what I do. I get a fire shepherd ring from my forge, boosting my fire streams to 6 dice, rolling 7 damage. He reveals a rhino hide, I reveal the counter rust, I get directly 7 damage on him. He lesser teleports 1 space. Over here, taking another Magebane damage, and is already at 20. Because of those 2 attack spells, paired with the curses stacked on his mage, paired with regeneration and healing denial, and paired with him having not too many actions or not too many casts, because the obelisk drains his mana a lot for having his creatures around. So the Falcons manage to kill the idol, or the Falcon I should say, and the other small Falcon hits my mage. So right here I will finish the round at 9 damage, healing 2 more with my regrowth belt. And since I had to reveal, or wanted to reveal rather, the counter rust in case he had some armor, I only had 2 mana left. So instead of prepping a double attack spell, which had also been possible, but then I can't reveal the rust, I decided to go with the attack spell, reveal the rust option, and stack another curse on him, which is in this case Chains of Agony. So right here, if he tries to cast something, he will get damage. If he does nothing with the Eye of Baal, like if he has no demon creature dealing damage, he will get a damage anyway every round. If he tries to move, he will get damaged. Because of the Chains of Agony, he's currently at 0 armor because of the rust, and if he tries to regen, he will regen for 1 less, and I will regen for 1 more instead. So in that case, I liked to look at it the way, if you're playing a regrowth belt, your gaining regenerate 2 or 2 life, a positive life difference to against your opponent of 2 for 6 mana every turn. If your opponent has regeneration on and you plan, or like a regrowth belt, and you plan on either playing poison blood on him, which would stop regeneration, you would be trading 5 mana in an action to hinder your opponent from regenerating 2, so you gaining another positive so you would be gaining a positive life difference against your opponent of 2 yet again, because you hinder him from regenerating 2. If you're playing Theft of Life, you hinder your opponent by 1 and gain yourself 1, so this is also the same life difference gain by 2 as a regrowth belt or as would be poison blood, but the difference is you can have multiple Theft of Lives versus many creatures, and Theft of Life, especially with the Ring of Curses, costs me 2 mana versus the other person it would cost them 6 mana or something. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can connect your Theft of Lives to targets which are regenerating while yourself are damaged, it's super valuable in terms of mana to bang for buck, action for or effect for mana ratio, let's say that way. So we see here Jay was putting down a wall of thorns to hinder myself from reaching him with melee or targeting. He's basically denying myself line of sight, and this would make it hard for myself to cast Fire Stream here, which is range 1. Also, him being at range 0, at armor 0, standing next to a wall of thorns with my initiative next turn, and him having 2 mana left, of course, it makes me think that he has probably a nullify on himself and not super much armor, so I've prepared a Dispel for anything defensive from him this round. Alternatively, I have the Fireball, so the plan was to only ever cast 1 spell here. My Fireball rolls 10 damage. He was at 24 because he started the round with 20. He took some burn damage, he took some curse damage, and then the Fireball for 10, my initiative next turn. He takes 1 from the Eye of Baal, he takes damage when he's moving, he takes damage when he's casting something, he cannot regenerate completely. With him being at 34 here, there is not any chance for him to come back in this game. And that's it. Thank you, Jabus, for the game. It was a nice one. And thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Stay hydrated.